So we finally got some confirmation that Xbox is hosting some sort of developer event later this month, coming to us from Jez Corden, Windows Central, I believe. And obviously Xbox had a horrible year last year. They actually only released a single game, or a single, I guess, brand new game, which was Pentiment. And then they published As Dusk Falls. And that was kind of it for Xbox last year. It was pretty terrible. A lot of fans were angry that they did not show up to the Game Awards. And it looks like they're going to put on some sort of showcase to give fans something this year. Jez writes, our sources suggest the showcase is called Xbox Developer Direct. Will feature content from Xbox and Bethesda. It's going live on January 25th, 12 p.m. Pacific. Games expected to appear include Redfall, Forza, Motorsport, and Minecraft Legends. It seems the show will be called a Developer Direct. Shout out Nintendo, and may be part of a new initiative from Microsoft and Xbox to offer information on upcoming games more frequently outside of the major E3 and Game Awards marketing beats. Finally, out of the big three, PlayStation has a State of Play, Nintendo has Directs. Xbox doesn't really have anything. They do E3. Sometimes they show games at Game Awards, even though they didn't last month. But it seems like they're going to try to do something a little bit more regular, which is absolutely needed for Xbox, especially as theoretically they're gearing up with all the studios that they have. I know it's kind of weird to have 23 game studios and it feel like you guys never have anything to talk about. But I think this is more, they finally feel comfortable enough to do this, more so than they never thought about doing this. They're supposed to have more to talk about. So this is a good time for them to do this. The show will be hosted by both Xbox and Bethesda with deep dives into Redfall, Minecraft Legends, Forza Motorsport, and content from ZeniMax Online Studios. Now, ZeniMax Online is working on Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls, so maybe there's more content for that they're going to talk about. But the big ones here are Redfall, Minecraft Legends, and Forza Motorsport. But of course, we have to talk about what's missing. Starfield. Now, according to Jez, he says he's not 100% sure whether Starfield will be here or not. Now, on one hand, I can understand why it wouldn't be here. The only reason I can understand why it would not be here is because they're planning on doing a deep dive video dedicated just to Starfield, which it absolutely earned and deserves, right? PlayStation has done this before. Horizon, God of War, they did one for Hogwarts Legacy where it was just 15 minutes. They just dove really deep into the game. Nintendo does the same. I think they did Animal Crossing, Fire Emblem. I think they also did Splatoon, Pokemon. So it just makes sense for you to do these deep dive videos. It's a great part of a marketing push. And for a game like Starfield, which is hands down, probably actually, I don't think it's even close. It's going to be the biggest in terms of game of size. It's going to be the biggest game released in this year. And as a person who is anticipating Starfield, I want to know more. I want to know more about the flow. I want to actually see these things. I want to see combat. I want to see customization. I want to be able to see what dialogue looks like. What does it actually feel like to be able to travel from planet to planet, and what landing on a brand new planet might look like. How procedural is it? There are a lot of questions in my head, and putting it alongside all of these means that Starfield would not have enough time. So it would be a much better idea to give it its own dedicated 20 minutes. Now, what would be a mistake is if they don't mention Starfield at all. The most important thing for this showcase right now, especially after not even just the disappointment of the Game Awards that fans have, is just the disappointment of last year in general. If it wasn't for Game Pass, we would have absolutely nothing to praise Xbox for when it came to last year. So because of that, I think it's important to instill confidence in the people that own your system and are fans of your system, to let them know, like, hey, here are the games that you can expect to be able to play this year. Even if you don't have a release date for them, you have to tell us a little bit more, at least about a game like Hellblade 2, which we've seen gameplay of. It looked amazing, but we haven't seen it in over a year. What happened to Fable? What happened to Perfect Dark? What happened to Everwild? Did it get canceled? Is it getting rebooted? What the hell's happening with that game? It's weird for a company to have this many studios, and then it just feel like they have absolutely nothing to talk about. So it's great that these games are coming out, but our Xbox fans, the expectation is that all this is happening in the first half. So all these games they're going to be talking about should be out at the very least, before August, before July and August. Well, what's your holiday looking like? Is Hellblade 2 expected to be coming out this holiday? That's the only game that I can expect from everything that they've kind of already announced or 100% announced. When it comes to things like Fable and Perfect Dark, do I expect them to come out this year? No, I just honestly do not. The closest one would be Fable. Perfect Dark is 100% not coming out this year. Fable, I would give it a better percentage, but I don't expect them during the showcase in January to give me a very in-depth look into Fable, but I need to know if this game is real. I think there's the thing with Xbox. It's like, I just want to know you guys are actually kind of doing something. One thing that I think will be key for them during the showcase and is really important is this game right here, Redfall. So when it comes to Redfall, this is hands down one of the worst marketing machines that I've ever seen for a video game in recent memory. Arcane is an amazing studio. They've actually done more than enough to earn the benefit of the doubt. They've earned the clout that we don't even have to know a lot about Redfall to trust them that it's going to be a good game. But the fact that a lot of fans don't even know what Redfall is supposed to be is a big problem. It was announced last E3. I actually did a search on Xbox's Twitter. They've mentioned the game 6 times. 5 out of those 6 times in the last year was in the month of June. So for whatever reason, they're just not really pushing or talking about this game. I don't know why. Deathloop was a Game of the Year contender. This should be a much bigger deal for you guys. And this showcase has to be like, the place where Redfall really explodes, and a place where you can properly explain to everyone who is looking at this game, tell them, hey, this is why you're going to want Redfall when it comes to Game Pass this year. This is why you're going to want to download it. And I want to bring up this article because this article came out a few days ago on Games Radar. This article did more to get me excited for Redfall than anything that Xbox has ever done, which is really sad because this is the first article where they have an interview with Arcane Studios' Harvey Smith and Ricardo Bear, and they finally explain what Redfall is. Because I, along like everyone else, thought this was just like Left 4 Dead 2, vampire hunters, and then you have abilities. That was kind of it. That was my expectation from it. But it's actually, let me just really skim through it. If you're really interested in Redfall, please go read this. Like I said, it's on Games Radar Plus. I highlight some things. In terms of the way that you play and experience Redfall, it's not like those games at all. Redfall is more like loading into Far Cry. Just stick with me because that sounds a lot worse. Like, that sounds awful, but I think what they mean is that there's a little bit more freedom to the map than probably what you would have expected Redfall to be. But then they go into all these amazing things. What if we took all our experience in our creative as and put it into an open world? You're in a big ass open world. We have a home base. You could talk to NPCs, get side quests, go to the mission table, pick up story driven missions, or you cannot give a shit about any of that. Just head outside, pick a direction, haul ass, run into the living world stuff that we have going on. So there is like this living, breathing world you can kind of explore and fall into battles here and there and maybe side missions, small quests. Awesome. That sounds amazing to me. You want to see if you could get to a barn you found, climb a fire lookout tower, try and get into a house to read all the notes scattered inside. Some of the most powerful ones coming from wandering around, absorbing the world, getting caught up in high action for a moment. That was the atmosphere we set out to create from the beginning. I had no idea this is what Redfall was. I thought Redfall was just like this mission-based, drop in, drop out, pick up and play type of co-op shooter, which I thought that's great. That sounds cool. Kind of a little bit of to me, it's like a perfect Game Pass game. I didn't know it went this deep, right? Neighborhoods held hostage by vampires. Liberating these parts of towns will open up safe houses. So I guess that's kind of the Far Cry comparison. And make it more comfortable for citizens. You'll encounter survivors who may ask you for a favor or two with the opportunity to level up, earn new gears and a reward. Nests can emerge in a shared psychic space should a group of vampires fall into a blood trance. Storms form gradually over time, signaling the arrival of powerful gods called rooks. Bellwether security guards patrol the island. Cultists set up roadblocks to bottleneck. There's a story campaign to so it's like all this, like there's just a lot. It's like a really deep, meaty type of. This is me. You guys are talking to me. I'm one of the few idiots that buys Far Cry every year, unfortunately, because I love the loop. Everything that surrounds that game, I really do not like it. But I love the shooting. I love the freedom to approach different scenarios. And that's why I'm one of the dumbasses that buys Far Cry every year. One part of this complex puzzle is the day-night cycle. It even has a day-night cycle. That's awesome. Time impacts everything from how viable stealth is before combat erupts to how various factions. You may start a mission at high noon, get distracted. By the time you reach it, it's nighttime with different enemy spawns. They also talk about when 4 people sit down and play through Redfall together, they are synergizing their powers, so emphasizing the co-op. This is one thing I actually did not like. Once you start the campaign, your character selection is locked for the duration of the game. If you choose to play solo, you'll do so without the other 3 heroes around you. That's bad. I don't like that, especially with the fact that this game they've already confirmed when it comes to co-op, your progress is not cross over. Whoever is hosting is the only person that gets the progress, which I just really don't like because I feel like it kind of handcuffs you to whoever you play co-op with. So if you put a group together and you start to advance on your own, and then and then they come into your game, then they're going to be missing stuff. You go into their game, you're going to have to replay things. That's the one thing I'm not liking. And then if you choose to play solo, you can't kind of experiment and try the characters, and there's no AI to control the other characters. So I feel like you're going to be missing a big chunk of the game. They even verify here, very dynamic dialogue system. Depending on what heroes we put together, they'll talk to each other, get to know one another. And they actually have a mechanical system where the longer the heroes play together, the more intimate their lines. Eventually, you get a game mechanic buff called the trust buff. They also talk about how there are a bunch of weapons, which I had no idea. It's almost like Borderlands type where you can pick up different types of weapons. So this article is very sad that this article did more to convince me about Redfall than anything that Arcane and Xbox have done since the game was announced in June. At this showcase, they need to use this as an opportunity to visually disseminate all this information that I just skimmed through for you guys. Like I said, go to Games Radar. I'll actually link it down below so you guys can read the article. It's just a good read. Now, to wrap this up, let's look at what we already know about Xbox this year. And this is why it's important for Xbox to go, if they're going to do a showcase, to talk, even if it's slightly, even if it's briefly. You don't have to show me a trailer, but you have to talk about where these games are in your cycle because you've already shown them to me. I feel like Kevin Garnett, Uncut Gems.
How the fuck would you show me something if I couldn't have it?
This is what this year looks like. This is not good. Yes, there are some third-party stuffs in here like Stalker 2 and maybe Arc 2 that I haven't included, but this is just coming straight from Xbox. So we're not talking about some of the console exclusives, things that they've replaced is a game that I'm looking forward to this year. Last Case of Benedict, Fox, I think it is. But this is the stuff that they're working on. Starfield, Redfall, Forza Motorsport, Age of Empires 2 Definitive, and Age of Empires 4. Those technically are new games. They're just porting them over to Xbox this year. And then Minecraft Legends, which I guess some of you might even count because that is a multi-platform release. When it drops, it's dropping day one on Switch and it's dropping on PlayStation also along with PC. So this is it. This is what their year looks like. This is bad. This is not good. Even if you announce something that eventually gets delayed, you gotta talk to me a lot more and convince me about what the heck your other 23 studios are doing. Now, I brought up in my last podcast episode, Compulsion Games, I feel like is a studio that we are kind of in that sweet spot where we should be able to understand what it is that they're working on. You guys got to do more with this showcase. I also think it's a good opportunity to talk about Halo Infinite, which is sort of mounting a little bit of a comeback. I think it's a great opportunity for you guys to talk a little bit more about the future. Another good opportunity to push Game Pass. Game Pass has an incredible slate this year. You can listen to the latest episode of the podcast called 2023 Vision, where I really break down every game that's coming out on Game Pass. And it's a lot. It's really, really extensive. Look, this showcase is really important for Xbox. They got to get it right. Like, you guys got to get this right when it comes to this showcase to get fans excited because you haven't really been doing a good job so far. If you liked it, like it. If you loved it, please subscribe to it. It really helps out the channel. And I guess comment down below what you're most excited to see if they do a showcase, a showcase this year. Thank you for watching.